Hello, welcome to part 4 of the GP15-1 rebuild project. As you can see, since the last video it's gained a coat of primer, which is the Tamiya fine surface primer in white. I was really looking forward to getting to this point of the project because having everything the same colour really pulls it together, and when looking at it with all its grey parts and all the different bits, it doesn't really work particularly well, but seeing it in this primer has really yeah, it's really good, and I'm really glad I did it. I was toying with not priming it at all and just going with a using the Tamiya acrylics and not having a primer on it, but this gives me a chance to have a look, see if there's anything that looks out of place, anything that's not working, and make any changes. Luckily, I've looked it over. I'm really happy with how it's looking at the moment. It's yeah, I don't think there's I haven't had to make any amendments to the work I'd previously done. You will notice, I think I mentioned on the last video, that I'd knocked the bell off just before I'd filmed the last video. I've actually put it back on now, so it's back on, and hopefully a little bit more secured. I've drilled it a little deeper and fitted it a bit better now, so fingers crossed that won't happen again. So how did I get to this stage? Well, the first thing I had to do, and again mentioned it on the last project, I had a lot of work to do on the cab, and that has involved quite a bit of thinking about how it's all going to go together. The bodywork's pretty much finished now and receiving its coats of primer to pull it all together, but I really want to get, before I start putting any coloured paint on, I want to get the whole thing finished. So I've been working on the cab to get this done. This is the bit that's to get the whole locomotive finished, really, to a large part. Certainly cosmetically on the outside. I've obviously got some bits to do on the motor and fitting a decoder, etc. So this is the cab which I've been working on today. I had the main structure put together a while back. So it's I mentioned on the previous video, the Cannon and Company Thin-Wall Cab -2. So I've been making some progress with this. It's a lovely little kit, as I previously mentioned. It's gone together really nicely, and it looks really nice on the model. Suitably detailed with the door catches on the doors and that sort of thing. I'm going to plan is, I've had to think about this long and hard about how this is all going to go together, because this has got an interior. The interior is fixed to the body shell, so this is going to slide over the top of the interior. So this needs to be ideally fully painted before I attach it to the model. But then also I've got to think about what order this is going to be done in order to get it painted before I attach it to the model. Because what I want to do, it's going to have lit number boards and the headlight. The kit itself comes with the headlight top mount painted over. So I drilled it out, opened up the gap, and then fitted one of these little headlights in there, which I think I showed on the previous video. And what I've done since then, these are actually designed to have a little dual light, in each. So these aren't designed to be working lights. So I've drilled this out to 2mm on the two headlights, which is the right size to fit the Walthers, the original fibre optic piece in the back for lighting. So that's good, that sits in. It does stick out a bit far, so I'm going to have to trim those back. So they're going to sit in there, and I think that's turned out well. I'm going to have the number boards and headlights all lit together, I think, provided that isn't too bright on the number boards. So once these are seated in, these are going to have to be cut down. Once that's seated in, I'll have a little micro LED fitted in the back there. But I've got to stick the glass for the number boards in there. I've got some decals. I'll dig those out and show them on the video in a bit. I've got some decals to go on the number board glass so that they are opaque, but the light will shine through. So I think ideally I need to get this painted before, probably to be honest, before I put the number boards in. They'll slot in the back, and I'd like to put a bulkhead across the back here to prevent any light bleed, because I'm worried about bleed where this actually fits the front of the cab. So I'm going to paint this prior to fitting it to the cab. Let's pop those out before I lose them. I think the plan is going to be paint the cab, paint the number boards, and then I shall fit them on once I'll put them on the right way up when I actually do it. Once they're all painted, they can be fitted in place. I've added a bulkhead. This is the bulkhead at the front here is from the this is from the Walther from the Canon Company cab interior kit. I think it's supposed to ideally be fitted to the floor, but I want it as part of the cab just to make the whole thing easier to put together after painting. And I've glued a bulkhead in the back of the number board fitting gap at the bottom there with a little hole cut in it for the LED to pass through. Then I've made from evergreen angle a tunnel that will fit in the top. Let's get that in the right way up. Tunnel that will fit in the top. That will take the cables, the wires for the LEDs or LED through to the front. I'll probably pop a hole in the middle there so there's a cab light as well. And then this is the backboard from, or the back bulkhead from the cab kit, interior kit. That's going to have a hole put in it as well. That'll fit in the back there. That holds the whole thing together, so we can run the wires for the lights through that in the top of the cab. And I want to get all that painted with the wires when the LEDs installed before I fit the number boards, so that I can get this detailed. I can then fit it onto the front of the cab. So that's where we are with that. I've also obviously haven't done the windows yet, and again I think I might fit the glass and then do the windows after the cab itself has been painted. I've got the original horn that came with the Walther's locomotive. That needs just drilling out and a hole popping in, and then we'll get that fitted to the roof. And I've got the Kaiser Valley models. Again, I think I've shown these before. These are the Kaiser Valley models, sunshades for the cab sides. I'm not sure, they're quite a thin edge. I'm not 100% certain whether they're supposed to be laminated or used as they are. I think they're probably supposed to be used as they are, and that's what I'm going to do. I've got then obviously enough for both locomotives here. They're quite a nice little part and neat etch. So yeah, that's where we're at with the cab at the moment. I'm not sure really what the next stage with this is. I should probably fit the channel in the top for the wiring, and I might pre-fit a couple of micro LEDs in there ready so that I can mask and then paint that. Certainly the one for the cab interior light I'll probably pop in now. And then once I've got the details on the roof, there's a handrail to go on as well as the horn. Once they're on, I think I'll pop some primer over that as well, and we'll have a look at it on the locomotive. So what I've done at the moment with the cab, I've added the handrails to the front on the number boards, top and bottom of the number boards there on the left hand side, and there's two, I'm not actually sure what they are, but on the top of the cab on the photos there's two discs. I'm going to have a look. They're like plates on the top, and I'm wondering if the original unit perhaps had air conditioning on it, and it's been removed and plated over at some point. Not that it really matters what they are, but yeah, there's two little round plates on the top there, and then that's pretty much ready to go. and I'm going to use, I bought these warm white micro LEDs from Layouts for You. I got them at Getz a couple of years ago, the Great Electric Train Show at Milton Keynes. There was 5 in the pack. I put 2 in my RS1 that I fitted the decoder to, and that features in another one of my videos I'll link at the end. And I've got 2, so I've got 2 left. One was 5 in the pack, so one of them appears to have disappeared. These already have resistors fitted, which will hopefully make things a bit easier. The downside is they have about 100 miles of wire on each one, so I'll need to either shorten them and resolder them, or find somewhere for the wire to go. But they will be the headlight and cab light, and they pass through the trunking that will fit in the cab. They just about fit through the trunking that will fit in the cab roof. I've got to work out how I'm going to fit to that one so that it comes through the hole to like the inside of the cab. Excuse my hands all over this footage. So those will be fitted in, and I'm hoping once that's in, we can that'll stop any light bleed coming through on the inside. So yeah, the way I'm going to do this, paint it. This is kind of a rough assembly at the moment. I'm using the original horn from the Walther's locomotive, which broke when I took it off the roof, and it actually fits on the top of the number boards rather than on the roof of the cab. So I've just drilled that out to drop in there. I'm going to paint all this separately, so the horn, the number board section, and the bits for the inside, and also I've left got the cab doors from the kit and the windows. I've left them all on their sprues so I can paint them and then assemble them once they're all painted. So that's where we're at with that. I'm going to get all this mounted up, ready for spraying. I've got these little pots which are ideal. Pop a bit of IPA in there, wash them off with IPA, then we'll get some primer on them and have a look at it, attach the locomotive and see how it's going. So I've got my drying box here. I've washed all the cab parts in IPA, and they're now dry. I'm going to get them ready for spraying. I've got 2 of these parts, the back rear bulkhead and the trunking for the roof. I want to keep the backs unpainted to make it easier for gluing into the cab once it's all sprayed up. So I'm going to stick them to the board. I can actually I'll reposition that one so that'll keep the backs clear. I can just spray the fronts on those. The cab itself, in fact, I might stick that on the board as well, hold it in place, because otherwise it's going to blow about under the pressure from the airbrush. I've got to paint the outside and the inside, but that should hold it on there for spraying. And then I'm going to make the board a bit bigger. Same for the let's move this down a bit. Same for the number boards. I'll put those on there, that's fine. I've re-drilled and popped a new bit of I drilled the horn a bit deeper than it was last time, and I've got a new bit of evergreen 20 thou on there, so that shouldn't blow away now. Shouldn't what I'm talking about shouldn't fall off now. So we'll spray that as well, and the windows and doors I'll attach them to the turntable for spraying. Also got in here another little project, which is this hopper. That's all cleaned, IPA'd, it's still drying at the moment. Also waiting for respray. So there we go. I'll get the primer fired up, and we'll get a coat of paint on, an initial coat of paint on all these bits. Okay, so they're all done. Shall pop them out now. Put them in the drying box for a bit. Make sure that's totally dry before we touch anything. And then I'm going to pop it all together, have a look, and see what it looks like as a complete model in the primer. And then we can look at getting some top coat on. Once the cab was done, dismantled everything, and then I've popped it in the spray booth and given it all a good going over. I didn't want to go too deep with the primer because I'm conscious of losing detail. I'm very, very conscious of the amount of paint it had on it when I first bought it. There's quite a bit of fine detail in the moulding, and a lot of that was completely obliterated by the paint that Walthers had put on it at the factory. So I'm very conscious not to have that as an issue. Right, I'm back in with the GP15, and as you can probably see, it's in the spray booth. So I'm going to get a coat of primer over the main shell of the model. I haven't quite finished the cab yet, but I really want to get a coat primer on this so I can see what it looks like and get it all pulled together ready for its actual coat of paint. I think last time I mentioned that I hadn't fitted all the lift rings. They're now on top of the inertial filter hatch. So got the mask. I'm going to use Tamiya fine surface primer for plastic and metal. It's a white one. Put that over the whole model, hopefully pull everything together, and then I'll be able to get the main body colour on, decide how we're going to mask it up, but let's get this primer on first. Okay, I'll pop that in my drying box, give that a bit of time to settle, and then we'll pop a second coat on. Okay, I've given that some time to dry. The Tamiya primer is really quick drying, so I'll get another light coat over that. I want to put it on in really light layers. I'm very conscious when I first bought the locomotive, when it was in the yellow from the factory, a lot of the detail was really badly obscured by the factory paint, which was really thick, so hopefully with my own paint I can avoid that happening. So I've given it a good spraying over, and all the individual parts sprayed up separately. I've now, just for the purpose of this video, popped it all back together. The cab is going to be painted separate as a separate part and then put together once I've sorted out all that work with the lighting and such like. So the next phase is going to be to finish the cab off. I've painted all the parts. I'm just going to wave in front of the camera again. The windows for the cab and the doors and the horn are all separately painted. I'm going to get the cab painted, then fit those last. I think that's going to be easier than trying to get it all masked up and do it all as one unit. So yeah, this is probably the last update before paint. I've been having a lot of thought about how I'm going to put the yellow stripe along the top. That is, it runs along the very top of the body, or well, it runs part way through the filter screen, then along the top and over the back here. And looking at some of the models, the other proprietary models of Morristown and Erie, the yellow stripe is going to be 0.5 mm wide, and obviously it needs to be dead straight, because I think if it's not, it's going to really show up. So I'm toying with 1 or 2 different ways of doing it. Currently my favourite option is likely to be to spray all of this yellow initially, then put a 0.5 mm masking tape on there, then spray the rest of it, and then the last job will be to take that piece of masking tape off, leaving the yellow stripe. Whether that is going to be the best way to do it, I'm not sure. The other alternative might be to paint it and then use a decal for the stripe. I think trying to paint the stripe last of all would be a risk. I'm not sure I'd be able to get that as straight, certainly as a 0.5 mm wide stripe, as I'd like. So if anyone's got any ideas on that, please pop a remark in the comment. As I say, I'm favouring painting the top yellow and then just masking. I'm confident that'll work, provided I can get the masking tape A 0.5 mm wide and B straight, and it's that straightness that's really worrying me the most, I suppose. So there we are, that's where we're at the moment. Like I say, the next video you will probably see some paint on this model, unless I do some work on the chassis and fitting the decoder. I might do that. I'm filming this in just at the end of September, and we've got the Great Electric Train Show at Milton Keynes coming up, so I might take the chassis and see if I can get some advice on decoders. Probably going to use the Tsunami one, because I want quite reasonable lighting functions on this, and I do like the Tsunami decoder. But yeah, we'll put some thought into that and get some advice. So there we are, that's where I'm at the moment. Really pleased with how it's looking with its rather ghostly appearance, but yeah, really hopeful that I can get a decent coat of red paint on there and have it looking suitably good once it's finished. Okay, thanks for watching. I will see you at the next video.